Okay, I'm a big believer in third time lucky, so let's see how we go. In the meantime, I've lost light. It's very rainy and dark here in Sydney today. So we're going to give this one more try, guys, and hopefully third time lucky we'll be able to get Cody on the line. I've got two computers going at the moment, so let's see if we can. Okay, JT, I've got you on. First one in. Let's see if we've got Cody coming on. Sorry about the mucking around, guys. This is the joy of Facebook Live. We just got to hope that we can make it work. Cody, I've got you. I've got you. Okay, let's have a look if we can now invite you on. We should be able to. Facebook Live is just not playing nice today. Very odd. Very, very odd. I can do that. This is a little test and experiment. It's not liking me at all. So, guys, I have no explanation as to why this isn't working this morning, and I apologize if you're tuning in, but for whatever reason, hang on. I'm inviting, I'm holding my breath. It says inviting. We've got to be close. We've got to be close. This is so suspenseful. It tells me it's inviting you. It's Cody! We did it! Yes! We made it. Good morning. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm really good. I feel like I'm sitting in the dark here at the moment. Do I look like I'm sitting in the dark?
Yeah,
A little bit, yeah. I know. And you're in beautiful sunny Queensland. Well, I'm glad that we made it eventually. That took a little bit of mucking around, but we got there. I don't know why I've gone completely dark. I'm going to change my scenery. How's that? That's better. Okay, so let me do your introduction once again, because we kind of had a bit of a mucking around and trying to get online this morning. So first and foremost, Cody, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now, you are the owner of Fitness Crusader Movement. You are a business coach for the fitness industry. You're a lecturer in the fitness industry, and you're also the founder of the PT Coach Forum, which is a very popular Facebook group. So thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Awesome. Thanks for the opportunity to share to your audience.
Now, we are going to be chatting today about the 3 most common questions that you get asked as a fitness business coach. So do you want to get us started this morning? What is number 1? What's top of the list?
Top of the list is always exactly the same. It's how do I get more leads? How do I get more business? How do I get more people working with me? And the majority of people think that it's very much the leads that are the issue, but it very much comes down to more about the awareness around their business, because if people don't know who they are, then they don't have any potential to do business with that person. So it's very much what people come to me with is very often not the issue. Just like when, thanks for joining us, Cam, when someone comes to us and they want to work on their health, they think, all right, I just need to have the perfect diet, the perfect nutrition, when in reality, it's always the other things that are around that are kind of holding them back around their habits and things like that. So it's exactly the same in business. And what we need to understand is awareness is kind of the first step in someone doing business with us. So if we have more awareness around our business, then automatically people are going to understand exactly who we are, what we do, and then we can help move them through the process of then becoming a lead, so that then we can do business with them and we can help them overcome the obstacles that they're having, whether it's in their business, whether it's in their health and fitness, whatever it is. Awareness is that number 1 step, and a lot of people overlook that and don't even think about that as a concept. They're all focused on, I just need one more lead. I just need one more lead or one more client. And it's this very limiting mindset that people have specifically around their business, comparative to creating an entire system where leads are consistently coming in, because their awareness is constantly growing, their audience is constantly growing, both in width, the number of people, and the depth of relationship they have with those people. So if they focus on those things, then organically many more leads are going to come in, which is what we want to create in terms of a system, so that there's constantly leads coming in rather than them having to go out and consistently chase one more client, one more lead, one more thing. Because if they're just adding one at a time, then it's a hard slog, and then it's very stressful, because then they're focused on, I just need that one more client, just need one more client. And it's very much a limiting belief around their business that very much holds them back in terms of their potential to be able to grow their business.
So, Cody, can I jump in and just ask you, so when you're talking about awareness, are you talking about awareness of the brand, their own brand?
So awareness, in terms of most personal trainers within the fitness industry, they have two aspects of their brand. They have their personal brand, which is themselves, because a lot of people want to do business with a person comparative to a business. So it's their personal brand, but it's also then their business brand as well, because they're both combined aspects. They're both extremely important to be able to grow. And if we look at people like Richard Branson, Gary Vaynerchuk, they all have their company, but they also have a personal brand as well that also helps drive every interaction that they have. It drives their business. So it's understanding that there's two levels of awareness that we're constantly working on, so that people know who you are, because that's the first step of them being able to do business with you. If they don't know who you are, then there's no way they can do business with you. It's as simple as that.
How important do you think it is for personal trainers to have a website?
A website? Very common question as well. So a website in this day and age is beneficial to help people move through the process, so long as it is a website that converts people from being just an inquiry into a qualified lead. If it's just a website that is just information, then it's not really serving its purpose to drive the business forward. So we need to understand the purpose of it. A lot of people think that they need a website or they don't need a website. There is benefits to having a website to be able to use it as a tool to be able to build your business. However, that also requires you to be able to drive traffic to that website. So then you also need to have sources of, I guess, social media content, which is going to drive people to that website, so that then they can walk through a specific process, so that then they can do business with you. So it's very much just a part of the process. And depending on where your business is at, your target market, the services that you provide will depend whether you need a website or whether you can just use social media. A lot of personal trainers just start out using social media, and if they're going to remain just a small trainer, then they can do that. If they want to go to the next level and grow a larger company or open their own gym, then there's a lot more benefit to having a website.
Yeah, and I just want to reinforce what you just said when it comes to that lead generation tool. If you do go down the path of having a website, which I think that you should, we actually had Dr. Bill Sakala on the show 2 weeks ago, and he spoke about exactly that. And that is, there is 0 point in having a website if it is just a static site that sits there and gathers dust. If you are going to put the time and effort and investment into creating a website for your business, then make sure that you have some type of lead capture on that website. Make sure that it's active and make sure that you're updating it on a frequent basis. Really, really important. So Cody, just to confirm, so basically when a client comes to you and says, you know, how do I generate more leads? The first thing that you do is jump into a conversation with them about increasing their brand awareness, personal and their business.
Yeah, 100%. Just because if we understand there are certain steps in the process before someone even becomes a lead that they need to go through. So if we look at all the steps along the process, they need to know who you are. They need to be, best case scenario, consuming your content to a certain point that they're then ready to make a buying decision, which generally takes a certain amount of content for people to go through. Then they're ready to make that inquiry with you, and then they become a lead, and they can then qualify them, work out whether they're going to be a good fit for our service, and then they can start paying us. And then that's, again, not the end goal. We're trying to push them through a process so they start referring us business, so they become a brand ambassador for us. So it's this understanding every single step along the process, and then creating systems to be able to automate as much of that as possible, so that we can then focus on servicing our clients as best as we can, and then working on the things that are going to get us the best results possible in our business.
Quick shout outs to Eamon and Eugene and Maddie. Thank you guys so much for tuning in this morning. One other thing before we move on to the second most common question, Cody, that you get asked. Morning, Jai. you know, quite often I think a lot of fitness professionals fear the idea of giving away too much content and too much knowledge. And you just talked about how important that is so that you can build that relationship and build rapport with people. I mean, can you give us some type of a gauge? I know that on the PT Coach Forum, I mean, it's one of the things that you do is you share so much information and that generates conversation. So for a personal trainer, what type of information should they be sharing, say on their social media pages or on their website to help build the relationship between themselves and their potential customers?
Yeah, 100%. And that's one of the most common questions I get as well. It's just like, where do I start with marketing? How much do I provide? How much do I give away? How much do I keep for my clients? And ultimately, what we need to understand is that information is just a gateway to doing business with people. It is not the thing. Like, if information was the answer to all of the world's health problems, then everyone would be fit, healthy, a millionaire, have a six-pack, all of these things, because you can find all that information on Google. What we're trying to do in terms of marketing is create content that provides solutions to either our current clients or our target clients, so that we can help them engage, I guess, probably not gauge, so we can help them, educate them so that they have a good base starting point, that when they're open and ready to do business with us, they're going to do business with us because we've provided value to them up front. If we haven't provided value to them, then they don't know us, they don't like us, they don't trust us. So it means that if we start to develop that relationship up front and push them through a process of consuming our content specific to that individual's problems, then we build up that relationship. And the way that I see it is, it's just like everyone that we come in contact with is a bank account. The more value that we provide, the more deposits we make in that bank account. And if we're looking at doing business with someone, then we have to have provided a certain number of deposits over a period of time, so that then if we ask for money for one of our services, they're more than willing to do that. And if we think about how we go and get a loan from a bank, even if we want to get a loan, we still have to provide collateral or proof of a deposit, proof of income, all of these things to provide proof that we can then get that loan to be able to get that asset. It's exactly the same in business. If we have that mindset of providing value first, over and above what anyone else is doing to that specific individual based on their specific problems, then we develop that relationship, and then we have that connection to be able to do business with them in the future. In terms of how much should we give away, we should basically give away as much as we can, because what happens is information has become a commodity. Information is out there. Chances are they can find the information on the internet somewhere if they're willing to look hard enough. So what we're trying to do is provide specific information to specific people to provide value to that person, because we understand the experience that they have in terms of our coaching services is going to be the difference, not the information. The information is only a small aspect of it. It's how we coach them through that process, how we educate them in terms of the exact information they need at the exact time to help them move through the process in a step-by-step system to get them to from where they are to where they want to be. So it's very much just doing that. And then in terms of that, yeah, we just want to provide as much value as possible so that then we have all of these bank accounts open, and then we can potentially make withdrawals at a later stage.
That's a great analogy. Thank you so much for going through that, Cody. So that's probably the perfect segue to move into the most common question, or the second most common question that you get asked as a fitness business coach.
Yep. So the second most common question is just, where do I start with that? And where we're starting with that is just understanding who it is that we're actually looking to work with, because they have a certain level of problems, they have obstacles in their lives that are going to be completely different to another person's obstacles or problems. So if we're looking at mums, chances are they're not going to have much time to be able to exercise, or when they're exercising, their kids are around, or things of that nature. So if we can understand these problems on a deeper level and provide solutions specific to that individual, then they're very much going to resonate with the content that we're putting out there, because we're providing solutions for them through information, so that we can then add value to that person and then potentially do business with them in the future. So where we're starting with marketing is just understand, number one, who we're talking to, and then determining what their problems are, what their obstacles are, and then creating content around that, so that we create a gap of helping them through the process, so that we're positioned as the expert of the person who connects them to the information that they need that is going to be specific to them, to add value to them, to build up that bank account so that when they're ready to do business with someone, they do it with us compared to anyone else.
That's a great answer, Cody. And as a matter of fact, if there's anyone that is unsure about that step when it comes to actually truly identifying who your customer is, we have done a couple of shows where we talk about building or identifying your customer avatar. So if anyone is interested and that's a stage of your business that you're in, that you want to work through that process and have a really thorough understanding of your customer, just write customer in the comments below, and later on I'll come back and I'll share the links with you on the shows that we've done, which have a step-by-step guide of building out your customer avatar. So great answer, Cody. So that is the second most common question. What about the third most common question that you get asked as a fitness business coach?
The third most common question is, how do I create more marketing? And again, this comes from the same mindset that people have when they're looking for leads. They're looking at creating, what's the next post? What's the next post? What's the next one thing that I can do? What I try and teach people to do is they want to see themselves as a media company. If you look at what you do, you consistently promote on the Fitness Business Podcast everything that's coming up. It's not just the one thing. You don't just go live. You have all of these posts leading up to it that help provide value and prime people that there's content coming out. So if I was to watch TV and I was wondering what was on at 7:30 on a Monday night on Channel 7 or something, there would be all of these priming pieces of content, which creates awareness around what is coming and creates buy-in from people to be able to consume that. So if we think about, we've got a piece of content, even just one piece of content, if we're going to use that, then we can start to get people to buy in before that comes out. We can talk about it after. You're doing this perfectly by saying, all right, this is a piece of content that we've already created. This is a resource that you can use. That's just consistently providing value to people over time, utilizing all of the library of content that you already have to help people through the process to add value to that person. That's kind of level one. Level two then is to create series of content. So again, I do this in my group, you do this on the podcast. You're going through certain platforms, certain processes where you have a series of posts. So if you think about, if you're trying to do a series on the squat, you wouldn't just do one video. You would do, all right, cool. We're going to do 7 different videos. We're going to look at your foot position. We're going to look at, that's going to be video 1. Video 2 is going to be your ankle position. Video 3 is going to be where your knees go. Video 4 is going to be where your hips are. Video 5 is going to be how you turn your core on. Video 6 is going to be where your shoulders are. Video 7.
Is that your dog in the background?
Dog going off. Yeah. So, video 7 is going to be like the bar path. So we've got basically 7 videos for the same thing, because people are only going to pick up one thing from a video every time. If you go through every single aspect, they're going to forget the majority of those things. So if you reinforce one aspect, then you can create a series, an entire week of content based on one exercise. And then if we then add on top of that, having the video or having the priming post of this is the video series that's coming, and then the post-series wrap-up as well, then we've basically got like 9 posts based on one exercise. Then what we've done is, we've created a platform, and then all the content flows below it. If you think about like a podcast, that's just a platform where all the content flows below it. Most people are thinking about what's the next one piece of content, when what they should be doing is creating platforms where they can create content that flows below it, so they're getting so much more out of it, and then they're providing a specific solution to the person that they're looking at working with as well, because it's in a series. It's educating them on how they understand, because they're going to pick up one thing from a video. So if we understand that psychologically, then we can condition them to get that one thing each video. Then we provide more value to them over a period of time. And what we're trying to do with people is trying to push them through a concept we call like the mere exposure effect, which is just a psychological term, which means that if they've gone through a certain number of content consumptions of ours, then they're more likely to do business with us. And in 2005, that was like 6 to 7 pieces of content. In 2017, now it's about 15. In 2020, they expect it to be about 20 to 22 pieces of content that people have to consume before they're open to doing business with you. So if you have that concept of like, I need to get them through 15 pieces of content consumption, I can do that in a week if I provide 2 platforms throughout the week, because then I've got the 9 videos and I do another one on business or something of that nature. Then I'm pushing them through that new exposure effect so that they're open to doing business with me. Then they're more open to making an inquiry. And that's just understanding, again, the different steps along the process they need to go through for them to do business with me, number one is that awareness, and then we're pushing through that step so that they can then make an inquiry with us by creating that content that is consumable. And if we're doing it in a series like that, most of the time people are going to go, oh, I got value from video 5, I'm going to go watch 1, 2, 3, 4, so they can consume the whole series because they get benefit from one. And then we get more consumption of our content, we get more awareness, we get more interaction, we get more engagement, and it creates this snowball effect. So that's what we're trying to do in terms of creating more content and understanding where that fits in the process of building our business as well.
I think that's a really important point, Cody. And I have to say, I think it's one of the areas where a lot of business owners or fitness business owners kind of go wrong. And that is when they're working towards a big event, or if they're trying to sell, say, a 30-day challenge or a 90-day challenge and stuff like that, quite often a lot of that drip feed process that you're referring to is not enough. So there's not enough content going out prior to trying to make the sale, or there's not enough time spent in the lead up to those events. So therefore the relationship isn't built, and therefore it's much harder to make the sale. So I think that's a really good reminder for anyone that is either a gym studio owner or a personal trainer that is looking to run a big promotion. It might be a big ticket item. That approach that you're talking about, as far as putting out a whole lot of content that is drip feeding and is teasing your ideal customer, is really important part of the overall sales process to get them across the line later on down the track, because you're sort of providing them with all of that content that is relevant to them. And I just want to also reiterate what you were talking about earlier, which is how important it is to identify the pain points of your customer. Because the second that you can identify those pain points, that's when you have the information in your hands that you can turn around and provide them the solution. So Cody, thank you so much. That was really fantastic to go through all of that. I love the analogy that you made with the bank earlier on, and I think it's just such a good reminder for all of us about how much to have a look at how much content we're currently producing, because based on those numbers that you just shared with us, chances are, I reckon most of us aren't doing enough. So this is probably a good reminder to go and check out what we're doing and whether or not there are areas that we can increase the amount of content that we're creating. And I'm call come through. That's odd. I think it's also a good reminder that content doesn't need to be just one variable. It doesn't just need to be videos. It doesn't just need to be audio. There are so many different ways that you can actually create content this way nowadays. And I know, Cody, both you and I create videos and audio files and written material, and we're here on Facebook Live. So have a think about not only the volume of content you're creating and the topics that you're talking about, but the variations in the way that you actually send out that content, because different methods appeal to different people, right?
Yeah, 100% agree. And a lot of people are going to learn in different ways, and they can consume things differently. And there's different psychology in terms of how people consume content on social media through different parts of the day. So they're more likely to consume written content throughout the middle of the day because they're in between appointments, they're either at work or things of that nature, whereas they're more likely to consume video-based content after work when they can actually listen to it. Even if it's captioned, they're still more likely to do that after work. So understanding that when we're posting is going to be an extremely important factor as well, just because the psychology changes even on the platform through different parts of the day based on the content that we're creating. So if we're having a varied style of content or content production that we're constantly doing, they're going to attract different people at different times of the day in different ways, and ways that people learn in those different ways. So it's important to have a variety of content styles, as well as having whatever our primary one is, because we probably do best in the way that we communicate with one style. However, we still want to branch out to be able to reach a greater audience as well.
Absolutely. Hey, Cody, thank you so much for joining us today. So just remind everyone, if they want to check out your Facebook page, if they want to check out the website, where do they need to go?
Best place to go is just the PT/Coach Forum, which is a group on Facebook. There's generally a post about that on my personal page if you want to check that out, or you can just search it and find it. And that's the best place to find me. Excellent.
Hey, thank you so much for joining us today. I know we had a couple of technical hiccups at the very beginning, but we got there in the end, and I think that the information that you shared is really, really valuable. So thank you so much. I'm going to say goodbye to you now and do a quick wrap up. Thanks, Cody.
Awesome.
Have a great day.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Ciao.
You too.
Okay, guys, so just to wrap up today, thank you once again so much to Cody for jumping on and sharing his time and his expertise with us today. Thank you everyone for listening in. It was great to see everyone online this morning. And just a reminder, the current 2 shows that are out at the moment, Mark Miller talking about the importance of learning from outside the industry, and Casey Conrad talking about the 8 steps to fitness sales. Both of those are live on iTunes right now. Coming out this Wednesday, I've got part 2 of my chat with Rick Caro, and that's all about buying and selling a fitness club or studio. And then this Friday, we've got part 2 with Casey Conrad, which is our next part of the intensive series, talking about sales for fitness professionals. So that is all for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in and joining me. Thank you once again to Cody, and I will see you in 2 weeks' time for episode 8 of FBP Live. Have a sensational week.